Will. You didn't miss much. We just tipped off here in Gainesville alongside Chris Patola, Jay Alter with you. Butler and Florida here in Gainesville. And Chris, for those just joining us, these two teams very familiar with one another. They met just 36 days ago at the Battle for Atlantis. They had this home-and-home scheduled, so here we are for part two.
Yeah, it was the third game in 3 days down there in Atlantis. It ended up being a 7-point win for Butler. It was a defensive grindhouse, though. I mean, it really was a defensive battle. Paul Jorgensen, Kamar Baldwin for Butler had over half of Butler's points. Kevon Allen, who has 2 already here today, only 3 in that game. Jalen Hudson struggled. And as you said, Jay, both these teams, a defensive identity is what carries them.
Butler won that game more than a month ago by 7. What needs to change for Mike White and the Gators today to get a different result?
Well, they got to score the basketball. I mean, they have 4 losses on the year. In 3 of those losses, they have held their opponent in the 60s. The problem is, in those games, they've only scored in the 50s. Offense has been a struggle. A big part of that is Jalen Hudson not having nearly the year he had last year. Kevon Allen has struggled. They just got to find somebody who can give them consistent points.
Maybe it's the big man, Kavarius Hayes. They go inside at 6'9". He could have some success against a Butler team that very guard heavy. But it all starts with Paul Jorgensen and Kamar Baldwin. Those two combined for more than 30 points a game. They get it to Baldwin, the leading scorer for the Bulldogs. Looking for space, great defense, and that's what the Gators pride themselves on.
And really good play using his length. Keith Stone forcing Baldwin to take a tough shot. But both these teams very deliberate offensively. They're going to work the clock deep into the possession.
Inside again, Keith Stone this time, and Florida opens up a 6-0 lead early.
Size, an area where Butler has struggled against. We see a bucket from Hayes a possession ago, and then there from Stone. And then Florida follows up, made buckets with that 3/4 court pressure, forcing Butler to take a little time off the clock before they get into their offense.
Shot clock running down again. Butler goes inside. Triple team comes. Nowhere to go for Nate Fowler, and it's a turnover for the Gators. Florida has been suffocating on the defensive end, and they've cashed in on the offensive end. Keith Stone dials in another 3. It is all Florida early. This crowd has never stopped cheering. On the Jumbotron, they had the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl where the Gators routed Michigan, and they just kept the cheers going. A 9-0 lead for the Gators early in this one. Florida has not missed from the field today. A 9-0 start here at home for the Gators. So happy to have you joining us. Happy holidays, happy New Year. Chris Patola, Jay Alter with you. And Chris, this Florida team, they struggled to score the ball offensively in that first meeting. Totally different this year.
Well, and offense was not an area where they thought they were going to struggle. I mean, we were talking to Mike White earlier today. They had the best passer coming out of high school in Andrew Nemhard. They had 2 senior scorers coming back. They had developing big guys up front who could score. That was not an area where they expected to struggle.
That game just 36 days ago, Butler won it by 7. Very rare that in 2018 you have 2 teams that play each other twice in the non-conference season. Sure, you may get a team that plays in the regular season and then again in the tournament, but very rare. And it's 11-0 lead for Florida, and it continues. Kevon Allen on the takeaway, goes into attack mode. Oh boy, and Florida up 13-0.
What a hesitation by Kevon Allen. And it comes off the turnover. Florida 7th best in the country at turning teams over. 16 turnovers a game they force.
How does Butler stop the bleeding here?
You got to get a bucket. That would help. But credit Florida, you know, shot out of a cannon and doing it with their defense.
They go to Kamar Baldwin, but he comes up empty. Junior leading scorer for the Bulldogs. Can't get anything going early. Here's Keith Stone, finds Nembhard, freshman, actually going into the block to cash in that basket.
That matchup so interesting. That was the matchup in Atlantis a few weeks ago. Baldwin on Nembhard. Nembhard's got about 4 inches on Kamar Baldwin. Mike White decides to put Nembhard on the block.
Nothing going for Butler. First 8 possessions. And they are really struggling. 0 for 5 and 3 turnovers. Foul called underneath. It goes against Butler. We step aside. It has been all Florida.
And it's turnovers, defense to offense. What's a little hezzy here? Whoop! Got him. Bucket. Florida on a roll.
Clemson taking on Notre Dame right now in the college football playoff semifinals. Alabama, Oklahoma tonight, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. What a great game that is in the Capital One Orange Bowl. You can get it on ESPN and the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. Earlier today, Florida, a 41-15 drubbing of Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines. Chris Patola, Jay Alter with you. Chris, they had it on the Jumbotron, and these fans were going nuts pregame. What a win for the Gators.
It was pretty cool to see it. I mean, we know they love their Gators football. I don't know if they expected a 41-15 drubbing, but look at the reaction. This was pregame.
They came in early to watch the end of that one, and they were loud and proud, and the cheers have just carried over to what they've seen on the basketball court. This Gators team has opened up a 15-0 lead. Butler looking lost offensively. Just trying to get a basket 5 minutes into this game. Henry badly can't bury it. And as every possession continues, the pressure gets heaped on more and more. They're 0 for their first 9. And a foul comes inside called against Joey Brunk.
And right away, Jalen Hudson, who comes off of Florida's bench, gets an early look at things. Mike White telling us today he tries to get Hudson the ball early, be it through a set, be it on the break. There, they throw it to him on the pitch ahead. And you know, part of the thing getting out of a shooting slump is layups and free throws. Layups and free throws. Stop settling, drive the basketball. I like the aggressive take there by Hudson.
It really is the curious case of Jalen Hudson, the Virginia Tech transfer. He came in and averaged more than 15 points a game last year. Right now, he's only shooting 23% from the floor.
You know, you watch who he was last year, and then as I've watched tape on Florida coming into this game, I don't think he has the same edge, quite frankly. Like, I think he's got a different mentality. I think not making shots has eaten at him. There's a big part of me that feels bad for the kid. I've been there. But you look at this production, particularly on the left. 15 a game, he was their best offensive player to what he's doing this year. Only 6 a game, cannot make a basket from beyond the arc. And I think he's pressing. And I don't think he's generally a hugely competitive kid. So you wonder how much this is bothering him, but I just don't see the same edge from Jalen Hudson as we saw last season.
Florida has brought an edge on the defensive side of the court right now, shutting out Butler and getting it done on the other end as well. This has been the perfect start for Mike White and the Gators.
It's a perfect start for anyone.
Right.
60-0.
What a statement early in this game. Foul called. Hudson drew it.
And this is where Florida takes that next step. So they're terrific on the perimeter guarding, but when you get to the second level, they have guys who can erase. That rim protection from Hayes. You know, DeAndre Ballard comes in. Isaiah Stokes is now playing. They have size and length at their basket to be able to cover up mistakes. But it starts with their ability to guard on the perimeter.
Kamar Baldwin tried to do it himself, ran into a triple team. It'll stay Bulldogs basketball.
And we said it at the top, so much of what Butler does offensively goes through Baldwin and Jorgensen. The difference between Butler in their losses and what Jorgensen and Baldwin have done versus their wins, those guys have to score. And Mike White going to run a lot of different bodies at them today, really make it hard off of crossing actions, ball screens, handoffs.
Here's Baldwin again. Shot clock has continued to wind down and always somehow finds his hands at the end of it. Passing out of it. Thompson a three. Hit nothing. Shot clock did not reset, but with 1 second left on the timer, Baldwin draws the foul. But Chris, you mentioned Butler. As the Bulldogs go, it's Baldwin and Jorgensen that really lead that. In the losses that they've had, 3 losses this season, they're about 10 points below what we see from them in the wins.
10 points below, and you see the shooting percentages. Now, there are other guys who can hit shots, but those 2 guys have to score. And in the first matchup between these 2 teams, they had 35, so over half of Butler's points in that game. Florida doing a nice job switching those crossing actions, doing a nice job hard showing off of ball screens early.
Kayvon Allen has done a great job on Kamar Baldwin. Those 2 matched up again. Pressure coming, and once again, Allen forcing the turnover. Throws it up, and it's in. Defense into offense again for the Florida Gators. Jordan Tucker is into the game for Butler, the Duke transfer. Looking for Joey Brunk, couldn't pick him up. It's another turnover. That's now 5 for the Bulldogs.
And they only turn it over 10 times a game on a year. I mean, very uncharacteristic.
This is Tucker, who I just mentioned. He had to sit the first semester, so this is only his 4th game playing with the Bulldogs. Brings good size at 6'7", can handle the ball as well. But it's always tough when you're trying to add somebody new into your rotation. Butler cannot get a point here in Gainesville. Almost 8 minutes have gone by, and the Bulldogs 0 for 9 from the floor and 5 turnovers. A 3 from Hudson, banks in, everything falling for Florida. That's when you know. And on a day full of college football, the Gators have opened up a 3-touchdown lead to start this game. Here's Kamar Baldwin trying to stop the bleeding. Contested at the rim once again by Florida. They give it right back. Baldwin won't quit. Denied again.
This is a defensive exhibition to start this game. This is the ball screen I'm talking about, where off of the ball screen, Florida doing a great job of staying with the ball handler, Kamar Baldwin. There it is, leads to the turnover, and then points on the other end. What a show by Florida. Welcome back to Gainesville. Florida putting on a defensive clinic. Nothing at the basket. They have forced 5 Butler turnovers, which has led to 9 Florida points on the other end. They are energized, shot out of a cannon, and really, Jay, look like a team that has taken the break, gotten back to their fundamentals defensively, and have allowed their defense to feed their struggling offense.
And this is a common occurrence. When they have good teams, or really anybody in their building, you look at those 5 teams, Michigan State, Oklahoma, West Virginia, the first meeting with Butler, they've held those 5 to less than 20 points a game than they're used to scoring.
Yeah. And 3 of those games they lost. I mean, that's how bad their offense has been. But, you know, it's interesting talking to Mike White. He thought coming into this year with Andrew Nembhard, with the 2 senior wing scorers in Hudson and Allen, they had guys up front developing. He thought their offense would be fine. They spent all offseason, all preseason locking in defensively, and it's bearing the reward now. But my goodness, what a start.
It took 9 minutes, but Butler is finally on the board. It comes from the Duke transfer, Jordan Tucker. just playing in his 4th game with the Bulldogs since he had to sit out the first semester due to the transfer rule. And that three answered by the star freshman, Andrew Nembhard.
Everybody's getting in now. When it rains, it pours.
I was going to ask you, yes, Florida top 10 in defensive efficiency in Ken Pom. We know this is a really talented defense. What can Butler do, if anything, on the offensive end to get that rhythm going?
They are very dependent on making three-point shots. I mean, they put 4 guys out there, and that's when they are really clicking, is when they're driving the basketball, throwing out for those threes, those catch-and-shoot threes. Credit Florida. They've been quick to react. They've been quick to recover. So for Butler, you just got to, hopefully that three from Tucker, you can build on that. And they got to stop turning the ball over.
1 second on the shot clock. The perfect position and the follow for the freshman, Keontae Johnson. Even when Florida misses, they somehow get 2 points out of possession. Tucker chucks up another three. Can't knock that one down. He's got the only 3 points for Butler this afternoon. They go right back to Johnson. This time the feed blocked underneath. Second effort out of control, and Butler looks to run. Here's Jorgensen. Tucker for 3. Got it. Butler has 2 made shots. They're both Jordan Tucker threes.
And what a lift he's going to give them. Now eligible to play. This is his 4th game. Gives them some size, some athleticism. Can really knock down a perimeter shot. That's what his reputation was coming out of high school. A pretty good defensive rebounder. I was in the start for Butler. I used to play video games as a kid, and if they got off to this kind of start, I would just hit the reset button.
Do it again. Shot clock winding down. Bassett off his back foot. Doesn't matter. Cash money.
I don't do that anymore now in my old age. I just play through things like this on the video games.
Are the kids old enough to give you a challenge on the controller?
Absolutely. Here's Andrew Nembhard handling their offense, and they're doing this a little bit more too, throwing the ball inside. And when Dante Bassett is hitting shots like that, your offense is really in a, I guess we'll call it a rhythm. But what a difference that young man has made. I thought he was the best passer coming out of high school last year. He won a prep national title at Montverde, won the silver medal for Canada at the FIBA U18, and we talked to Mike White about him. He knew he was talented. He knew he was going to be their point guard from day one. He said he was tougher than I thought. He's tough as nails and a great kid.
Yeah, Mike White has brought in this star freshman class. All 4 guys really making an impact, and it all starts with the 6'5" guard, Andrew Nembhard.
With the invasion from Canada. Got R.J. Barrett, Lugans Dort from Arizona State, A.J. Lawson from South Carolina, Iggy Brasdakis from Michigan, Andrew Nembhard.
Do you attribute that to anything in particular?
I think it's just over time. You go back to when Vince Carter played with the Toronto Raptors. I mean, the impact that the Raptors have had on basketball in Canada. It's just, I think the grassroots programs have gotten better internationally. They've become more organized, and then you start to see a flow. Andrew Wiggins, guys, Tristan Thompson, Anthony Bennett.
No, absolutely. The last 5 years, it really does feel, you use the word invasion, and you're not far off. And it has been an invasion of Florida today. A 28-6 lead, all Gators. You can catch one of the best teams in college basketball in action this Thursday, 7 o'clock on ESPN, when Michigan hosts Penn State. Big Ten play already underway. I'll tell you what, Chris, this Wolverines team that lost to the national championship last year, they have reloaded, one of 5 unbeaten teams remaining.
I had them at the Hall of Fame tip-off at Mohegan Sun early in the season, and I said then that they were the best team in the country, and I still believe that. I mean, they are so good on the defensive end. At one point, they were the most efficient defense. I don't know if they still are. I try to limit myself on the Ken Pom. I think we've all gotten Ken Pom happy. And then offensively, they're outstanding in the open floor. John Beilein's really had a reinvention of what they do offensively. And then they get the infusion of a 20-year-old freshman in Brasdeikis, who I think gives them a toughness.
Now, they do not rebuild at Michigan with John Beilein. They just reload each and every year, it seems. They are at the top contending for that national championship. Butler has had one scorer today. All 6 points belong to Jordan Tucker, and he is not on the floor. Kamar Baldwin, leading scorer. Great attack mode there by Kamar Baldwin to get his first bucket.
He's going to have to go a little nuts here. You know, he's nice drive there. And now they can make threes. So if you're Florida, you know, not that they would, but you got to keep up the intensity with which you started the game.
Noah Locke, the freshman, who really has a sweet stroke every time Florida needs an answer. They have looked to Locke. He's had back-to-back 5 3-point games. Lighting it up from beyond the arc. Henry Badley. That's what Butler needs, a little energy in this building for the Bulldogs.
They had to stop turning it over. If they keep dribbling it into the corner right over half court, they put himself in a bit of a bind, but a nice job getting it out of the trap.
Great feed down low. Nembhard making it look easy. Florida has 9 different scorers. You want to talk about a balanced offense, but you've got 9 guys already in the box score in this first half.
This is a completely different team than we have seen yet this year.
Butler still can't find a groove. After scoring on back-to-back possessions, they go empty there off the Sean McDermott miss.
I mean, and it's fair to say, like, Florida before the break played well against Florida Gulf Coast. Now, Florida Gulf Coast is not very good, so it's hard to determine exactly what's real from a game like that. But they've played, you know, their best game, and now almost a half.
2 threes quickly for the freshman Noah Locke. And he's been locked in. It's now 12 threes in the last 3 games for him. Butler playing better than they were in the first 10 minutes of this game. That being said, they only had 1 basket. But when you put yourselves in this big of a hole, you need something special, Herculean, to get you back in this game.
Well, it starts with defensive stops, is where, you know, it started with not turning it over, now defensive stops, and they shift to the zone to try to slow down Florida a little bit here. And 4 shots like that.
A rare miss, and it's the first one of the day for Keith Stone, who was perfect before that shot. Here's Kamar Baldwin, nobody in front of him, but he misses the bunny. When your leading scorer misses shots like that and you're down 24, and meanwhile on the other end, they seemingly can't miss.
And that was, it wasn't defended great, but it wasn't poorly defended. I mean, you know, Brunk got out there to try to make a play. But, you know, shooting can sometimes be contagious. And when a team feels itself like Florida is right now, you've got a lot of guys who want to get in on the act.
Everything going through Baldwin, and he comes up empty again. Only 2 points for Butler's leading scorer this first half. Unanimous pick preseason to be a first-team All-Big East player. And when you come on the road and can't find your flow, it has gotten away from Butler in this game. Five seconds, great defense from Butler, but we'll step aside. It is all Florida. Laval, Jordan, and Butler struggling here in Gainesville, up 24. These 2 teams meeting for the second time in just 36 days. The first meeting Butler won. That was down in the battle for Atlantis. Well, guess what? In Gainesville, it has been a different story. You see Butler on that non-conference schedule. And Chris, the Gators really challenged themselves this year. That is part of the reason they're stuck at 7-4.
Yeah, I mean, they've played a tough schedule, something Mike White has done since he got here. Their defense has been at a championship level. There is no doubt about it. The struggles of in particular, their two senior guards has been a big reason also why they've dropped 4 games. And they're good. I mean, I believe that coming in. They return some guys who have played at a high level. I mean, remember, Jalen Hudson had 35 at the PK 80 last year against Gonzaga. He was their best offensive player. They add a 5-star recruit, Andrew Nemhard. You just got to find an offensive rhythm.
Well, there's no doubt after the win against West Virginia, they got some confidence about them. And they've come in this first half. Mike White would tell you this is the best basketball they've played all season. And it continues. Noah Locke, another 3. It's his 3rd in this first half. We are used to seeing this from Florida on the defensive end of the floor, but offensively for the Gators to put up near 40 with 3 minutes left, that's an explosive night. Was tapped out of bounds by Florida, so it'll stay with Butler. 4 seconds on the shot clock. Is there anything in the last 3 minutes here Butler could do to try and claw back into this game, make it reasonable headed into halftime?
Yeah, I mean, shot selection is a big part of it. Like, I did not like that shot. You know, I mean, now that's a shot clock shot, but the quality of shots isn't good. They're not a good offensive rebounding team, so there's not a way for them to manufacture points that way. They don't get to the foul line a lot. But, I mean, they got to get stops. Like, Florida is just making everything.
A lot of contact, nothing called. They go right back to Locke. Gets his own rebound and puts it in.
You got 2 Butler guys falling over each other there on that defensive rebound. Locke collects it, has a wide open shot.
Here's the freshman Bryce Golden, his first time with the basketball, and he gets 2. He's only played in 1 other game this year for 7 minutes, so Laval Jordan, he's looking for anything off that bench to give this team a boost.
You know, there's an example right there. You talked about Jalen Hudson's struggles. So many times when shooters are struggling, there's 2 things I ask. First of all, what type of shots are you taking in the game? Like, that was not a great shot. And this is not a good shot. Off the dribble, contested, 2 guys flying at you early in the clock. Not a good shot. The other thing I ask is, how hard are you going in practice to get your shots? And, you know, you watch Jalen Hudson today in the shoot-around, and granted it is a shoot-around, but there's got to be more of a motive when you're working on your game and when you're working on your shot. And I just, you know, again, with Jalen Hudson, a guy who was their best offensive player last year, he just hasn't had quite the edge. And I think he's trying to figure out how he can contribute to this team if he's not making shots.
And the player who checked in for Hudson after the miss, DeAndre Ballard, comes in and forces another turnover. Ballard with it here. Final 90 seconds of this first half, and Florida has dominated. That's exactly what Butler needs to do.
And that's who Baldwin is. He's gotten himself into the paint. Just hasn't been able to finish.
And the freshman Golden cashes in for back-to-back buckets. It all starts with Kamar Baldwin, though. As he goes, Butler goes, and today, 2 points, 1 of 7 shooting. That is why this is a lopsided matchup. Kayvon Allen through traffic, somehow finds a way. And if you're just joining us, that's been the first half for Florida. Everything going offensively. And up 21, Florida still hustling.
Here's Kevon Allen, and he, I think, took this game today as a challenge. That wasn't all that poorly defended, but a nice job keeping his pivot foot. Only 3 points in the first matchup between these two teams for Kevon Allen. And I think Mike White challenged him today in this matchup. But it's interesting, Mike White called Kamar Baldwin and Paul Jorgensen the most underrated backcourt in America.
And coming into the game, he had a very strong argument for that. But his defense has made them look average today. Another swat. Get that out of here. Kevarius Hayes. And the shot clock is off. Butler helpless here in the first half. Here's Allen to end the first half. No. That might have been one of the few that didn't fall. It's been all Florida.
You know what? That escalated quickly. It does not get much better than that if you're Florida.
Fewest points of the first half this season for Butler. You credit Florida's defense, but the Gators' offense has been explosive. They've only missed 10 shots all game. And the Gators take a 43-18 lead into halftime. We'll be back in Gainesville after this.
Inside our college basketball studios here in Bristol, Connecticut, I'm Chris Cotter. That's Seth Greenberg. We are beginning conference play in earnest, right? Turning the calendar into 2019. Most teams have played 1 or 2 games.
In earnest, for sure.
Yeah, in earnest, for sure. That means like every single week, 1 or 2 games.
Every day.
So let's start with, I want to look at some conferences and get from you who you think the favorites are and the dark horses. So let's start with the ACC. Who's the favorite to win the ACC?
Now, come on, Chris, come on. It's all Duke all the time right now. It's got to be Duke. You know, when you think about Duke, you think about Zion Williamson. You think about Cam Reddish. You think about R.J. Barrett. I think about Trey Jones, the guy that makes it all come together. This is an elite defensive team. They attack you in transition off their defense. They get to the offensive glass. Duke is a very easy pick to win the ACC right now in this moment in time. Now, look, you talk about breakthrough teams. You know, everyone can say, you know, Virginia. You can talk about others. But Florida State, you think about Florida State right now, Chris, you think about 10 deep. You think about Terrence Mann as a senior, a 6'6" guard that looks over the defense. You think about people that can protect the front of the rim, and Phil Kofer's coming back. So you talk about a front court player that can put pressure on the defense. I really like Florida State as a dark horse.
They need to get it done, though. We've talked about them before. What about the Big East this year? Not Villanova as the favorite?
Not Villanova, I'll tell you. Marcus Howard, he dropped 45 and a half the other day. Yes, 45. And it starts with his ability to get in the lane, make plays, shoot the three, put so much pressure on the defense. But where they've improved is on the defensive end. All of a sudden, Marquette has the ability to defend the basketball. Dark horse, wait a second. 2 of the last 3 years, they win a national championship. Now, I'm telling you, Villanova, when you lose 4 guys to the NBA, you become a dark horse. But Phil Booth's ability to take over games late, Eric Pascal's athleticism, and then Colin Gillespie. The one thing about Villanova, they got to take care of the basketball. They're turning it over at a high rate.
In the Big Ten, you tell me Michigan was not a flash in the pan last year?
No flash in the pan right now. You're going all Iggy on us. That's Iggy Brzezinski. This is a Michigan team a little different. They're built on the defensive end. It starts with Xavier Simpson on the basketball, Charles Matthews on the wing, and all of a sudden Jordan Poole's knocking down big-time shots. I love this Michigan team.
Now, what about a dark horse? Are we going with a perennial football power here?
Yeah, you look, Michigan State can't be a dark horse, so we can't go with Michigan State. When you look at this Nebraska team, last year they didn't make the NCAA tournament, yet they won, I think, 11 games in the in the Big Ten. But you talk about Palmer's ability to get to the rim. You're talking about Isaac Copeland, his ability as a fifth-year senior to make plays. Isaiah Roby, Glenn Watson, a great home court. Love this Nebraska.
All right, much like the ACC, the Big 12 is pretty obvious for the favorite.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious when you win 14 in a row. Some people think 15. Sometimes some people will go with the field. But Udoka Azubuike, he's got to get healthy. And if he's healthy, they can play through him, which enables him to shoot the ball to the three. Obviously, Dedrick Lawson has been terrific. Young backcourt is my only concern. Now, my dark horse, Iowa State. Why? because there's a little Hilton magic there, Chris
Always.
Carter. The toughest place maybe to play in the Big 12, and they've got great guard play. They've got two transfers, Mariel Shayok from Virginia and Michael Jacobson, who are playing at a high level. They're going to get Lindell Wigginton back. I like Iowa State as a dark horse. They take care of the basketball. They're efficient offensively.
What about a little Thompson bowling magic in the SEC?
I love Thompson bowling. I hope we get there for game day. And you know what? When you think about Tennessee, you think about Grant Williams. He was the SEC Player of the Year last year, and he's better this year. And then let's all salute Admiral Schofield. But to me, it's Jordan Bowen, his ability to defend at the point, his ability to get in lane, make plays. This team is mature and complete. The Fighting Ben Howlands. He said, well, since when are we talking about Mississippi State? We're talking about Mississippi State as a second weekend team this year, as a dark horse. Eric Holman can step out and shoot the three as a stretch four. And they've got a big-time backcourt. Lamar Peters can get the ball anywhere he wants, anytime he wants, make plays. They got a pair of Witherspoons. They are very good.
Pac-12 seems pretty wide open, doesn't it, Coach?
It's wide open because no one wants to win any games except Arizona State. And Arizona State, last year they were built in the offensive end. This year they're built in the defensive end. Lugansdort attacks you like he's an Alabama running back going downhill. Remy Martin makes big shots, and Zylan Cheatham gives him an athleticism up front. He averages a double-double.
What about your dark horse out there?
You know, I'm trying to find a dark horse out there, but if I'm going to have to pick one, I'm going to have to say it's Washington. Washington, that 2-3 zone. Washington, three seniors. Washington with Noah Dickerson, who can really score the basketball. Jalen Noel, a sophomore that can make plays. This Washington team, they haven't had that marquee win yet, but this is a Washington team that is very close to being good, but they've got to beat someone. The problem is, when you're in the pack, if you don't beat Arizona State, you're probably not being a team that's going to be in the tournament. That's an issue.
Maybe a changing of the guard a little bit this year when you talk about, you didn't mention Arizona. You didn't mention North Carolina. Villanova is only a dark horse. You didn't mention
we're talking
Kentucky.
about dark horse. Carolina could be a Final Four team. Let's not kill. We're talking dark horses.
We're finished.
20 minutes down, 20 to go. Halftime here in Gainesville. Chris Matola, Jay Alter with you. And Chris, conference play just around the corner for these two teams. Let's take a look at the Big East storylines you're following.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a changing of the guard in the Big East this year. Not as strong at the top. I think it is better at the bottom. St. John's there. They have pros in their backcourt. Marcus Howard, I don't think there's any individual who's having a better non-conference than he. And we mentioned the changing of the guard. Marquette, Providence, really, I think the two best teams in that conference right now. And in the SEC, it is a significantly improved league this year. I think Tennessee, Auburn on a plateau of their own. I think Tennessee, the team to beat. Auburn has the best backcourt in that conference. Kentucky will be Kentucky as this year moves forward. And then Mississippi State has a lot of returning experience. So SEC, a very strong league this year.
Two really strong leagues, and one thing is for sure. Conference play, you need a good non-con win to end it. One of these teams going to get that when we come back. A commanding 25-point lead for Florida as you're watching the SEC on ESPN. 43-18 is the Gators' lead. Butler, they need a miracle headed into the second half. Chris Matola, Jay Alter with you. And when you look at the lead, Chris, it really all starts on the defensive end for Florida, doesn't it?
It does. Florida playing like that dog in Something About Mary. I don't know if Ben Stiller was at the pregame meal, but you know, what's amazing about this defense is it's outstanding on the perimeter. We know that. But they have 6 block shots in this first half as well. So when Butler, like on that Baldwin drive there, has been able to get into the paint, Florida's done a nice job erasing that. And then they've turned Butler over and taken that and scored points on the other end, which I think has energized their offense. But my goodness, I mean, what a first half. This was by far, it's not even close, Jay, by far the best we've seen Florida play.
And look at the Butler production. 35 points when these two teams met at the Battle for Atlantis November 23rd. Just 4 points. Those all belong to Kumar Baldwin. No, 2 and 2, excuse me. I mean, it's just, when you have a backcourt as talented as Butler and Baldwin and Jorgensen, and they're held to 4 points, what can you do?
Well, and those guys, you know, again, I think Baldwin's done a nice job getting into Florida's paint, just hasn't been able to finish. The length, the athleticism at Florida's basket defensively has made it tough.
Here is Baldwin. Needs to get going and quickly. A 25-point halftime deficit for the Bulldogs. Rustling inside, now 1 for 8 from the floor. Nothing going for the leading scorer, Junior. And on the other side, you've been really impressed by Andrew Nembhard. He's really, it all starts with him on the offensive end. Knocked out of bounds. Officials deciding.
You know, I think Mike White has been asked so much this year about Jalen Hudson and Kayvon Allen that when we asked him at the shoot-around about Andrew Nembhard, his eyes lit up. You know, I don't think he gets asked about that kid enough. And the year that he's having, he's a competitor. You know, he took over a lot of the drills today and a lot of the shoot-around. He knows where everybody is supposed to be. Only a freshman.
I think what's most impressive about him is his assist-to-turnover ratio. He's second best in the SEC, and 3 assists for every turnover. And when you're a first-year player in college basketball, that's tough to do. Going inside, it won't work. Kavarius Hayes all over the pass inside, looking for Nate Fowler. And it leads to a 3. Keith Stone knocks it down, and Florida picks up right where they left off in the second half. How much confidence will this give Florida moving into the SEC season?
A tremendous amount. I mean, I thought their best game of the year was their last game against Florida Gulf Coast. This one has certainly supplanted that, and you're playing against a better opponent. But I was real high on Florida coming into the season because of the returning talent. They had veterans on their perimeter. They had a star freshman guard coming in. You expected Kavarius Hayes to take another step. This is who I was expecting to see this year from Florida.
Good defense there from Henry Badley. 5 seconds to shoot. Here's Nembhard. Slipping. And a shot clock violation. Nembhard just lost his footing there. Maybe the best thing to say about this performance for Florida is this is the same team that lost by 7 just a little more than a month ago down in the Bahamas. That they've been able to come back. It's a good litmus test.
Yeah.
How much better have we gotten? If this is any indication, they've gotten a lot better in that time.
Well, that's where when you look at their 4 losses on the year, in 3 of those, they held their opponent to 60. This defense has been there. They just haven't been able to score. In those 3 games, they only scored in the 50s. You know, one of the other things, too, that I think Mike White has tried to balance is that the freshmen he now has on his roster are not his most talented scorers, but they're his most competitive players. They're his best competitors. And so trying to find a balance between, well, we need scoring, we need points, our offense is not functioning. But we also, I mean, he's a guy who wants guys who are going to compete, who are going to be tough, who are going to play in that defense. And that's one thing where he was hoping those freshmen would raise the level of your juniors and seniors and make those guys more competitive. It's something they're still trying to figure out.
Butler goes into a full court press. Florida breaks it with ease. Noah Locke can't cash in, but don't worry. Perfect positioning for the putback. Keith Stone adds another. He's up to 12 points to lead all Gator scorers, of which there are 9. Really balanced scoring attack from Florida this afternoon. Here's Nate Fowler, who's been quiet. Kick out McDermott, a 3. These 2 teams still scrapping. Florida's got the basketball. 2-on-1. Allen takes it himself. And one. Kayvon Allen. The hustle leading to the and one.
This is a microcosm of the day for Florida. First to the floor. Boom. You got 3 guys on a loose ball. You keep it alive. And then Allen turns it into points on the other end. You want to bottle up that exchange right there if you're Mike White. That's who Florida can be. God, those types of diving on the floor exchanges, Jay Alter, I get a little excited over here.
You would rather see that than back-to-back made 3.
Absolutely. And I don't get you, absolutely, any day.
It's so would Mike White, by the way. Those are the types of plays he lives for as a coach.
Well, what you just saw there that's not easy. That's hard. That's toughness. That's what I think makes winners. Not that dunkers don't. Dunkers help.
And there's only so much you can read into a shoot-around. But Florida held theirs just 3 hours before tip-off, and you were really impressed with how hard they went specifically on the loose ball drill.
They were doing loose ball drills. I turned to our producer, Sean Jackson. I said, they're doing loose ball drills.
Now that should be over and back, and it's called. Nobody on Florida touched Kamar Baldwin. That was right in front of us, and he fell backwards. Just suffocating pressure all over Baldwin and these Butler guards.
Well, it's this trap right over half court. Butler continues to bring it over as if they don't realize the trap's coming. And it leads to the turnover. They've had 3 or 4 of their turnovers that have come off of that trap right over half court, where you essentially have 3 defenders, the 2 Florida players and then the timeline.
Paul Jorgensen is not even in this game. He averages more than 15 points a game, 3 threes. He is not on the floor. He's on the bench with 2 points. How about Noah Locke showing off the handles? Misconception with him is he's just a 3-point shooter. He's only a freshman. He can show, he offers Florida a lot on the defensive end. It can make moves like that.
It's an interesting story. Both his parents played at Coppin State. His sister's a player. His brother, KL, played at UNC Greensboro. Had a great career, scored over 1,500 points at UNC Greensboro, now plays professionally in Europe. So it's in the bloodlines. And, you know, he's got a reputation as a shooter for a reason. He can really lock in. He's one of the best shooters coming out of high school last year. He's got 10 threes in their last 2 games. But your point about the diversity in his game, he is starting to figure out how to make an impact in other ways.
Kevarius Hayes called for an over the back. That's his 3rd foul. And Florida prepares for some more full court pressure, which has stifled the Butler backcourt today. Well, now Jordan takes a timeout. We'll take it with him. If you thought things would change in the second half, they are not. Gators continuing to dominate. Loaded slate of college football to ring in the new year. New Year's Eve triple header all on ESPN. It starts with Cincinnati and Virginia Tech. Follow that up with Missouri and Oklahoma State in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. And then at 7:30, the nightcap, NC State taking on top 20 Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. All 3 are live on the ESPN app, so no matter where you are, you'll be locked into college football to ring in your 2019. Chris Patola, Jay Alter with you. We were talking to the break about college football. Big difference, Chris, is college basketball. You don't see the guys sit out in the tournament. That's when you want everybody healthy playing their best. But in these bowl games like NC State will have against Texas A&M, they do have some of their best players not on the field.
And I have no problem with that. I mean, really, there's 3 bowl games that matter. The semifinal and the championship game. And if I had a son who was going to be an NFL draft pick, I'd tell him to sit out a meaningless bowl. I would. I mean, I have no problem with it. And you know what's amazing, Jay? The conversation of expanding the playoff to 8 teams has dominated, you know, the last month.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody talks about, in this day and age where everybody's ready to jump on, you know, we should pay the athletes this, pay them that. The college football playoff is a billion-dollar industry. You add 4 more games, that's billions and billions more. It's another game that you're adding to this, and nobody talks about the athletes when it comes to adding bowl games.
Sounds like you would like to see them add.
I'm okay with adding it, but what I'm saying is, like, this thing makes a ton of money, and we're so quick to jump on pay the players, and which is a much longer conversation. But everybody wants to expand to 8 teams, but nobody accounts for the fact that now we're going to ask these guys, these college players, to play another game, and somebody is making a lot of money. It just, the conversations, whatever suits us.
No, it's well said. The parallel that I tried to draw with college basketball is you would never dare sit out a postseason game.
Well, they mean something.
But
now if it was the NIT.
Now, that being said, you watched a Syracuse game, a team, they didn't have anybody sit out. West Virginia did. It meant something to them.
Right.
You had Army. You're an Army grad.
Absolutely.
It meant something to them in that game against Houston.
Well, I mean, not to say, I mean, Florida dominated that game against Michigan, but how many guys did Michigan have sitting out? So the point is, I don't have a problem with it. Now, I don't know as a competitor if I would have done that, but if I had a son, nice drive here by Jalen Hudson. That's what you'd love to see more from him. Through the contact. He's got to stop settling for those perimeter shots, especially the tough ones.
I'm glad you brought it up, though. As we were getting ready to talk about college football, you said, hey, let's get into this. And I think it's a great point that at the end of the day, you're not playing for a championship, right? Whereas you still are in the NCAA tournament in basketball. Your season is alive to win what everybody starts the season to try and win. But I still think there's teams out there like a Syracuse, like an Army, that, hey, we're here to prove something. A 10-win season, that means something here.
Which, by the way, Army should have been in a New Year's Six bowl.
Totally agree there.
Let's be honest.
No disagreement there, and they showed that against Houston. I think it's a tough spot, right? The Armed Forces Bowl, you feel like you have to pigeonhole them in, whether they're 6-6 or 9-3.
We're being typecast.
Yeah.
We're typecast. Put us in a real bowl, for crying out loud.
You need to start the brigade against that but they played in that back-to-back years.
Yes.
And this team was way better than the team the year before.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. See, now they just think I'm a homer when I say that.
No, I'll make the case for you. Oh, wow. There it is, the Chris Batola resume.
Wow, we're reaching into the archives with that one.
5 years serving our country and then going right to coach with another Army guy, Coach K.
Those chicken wings for arms. Look at those things.
How would you describe yourself as if you were analyzing yourself as a player? You're calling one of your Army games back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, a volume shooter. Never saw a shot, did not like. Drive him on the defensive end. Post him up if you can. There were limitations, Jay. There were definitely limitations.
No limitations today on Kayvon Allen, the senior, up to 11 points. He only had 3 in their first meeting down at the Battle for Atlantis, a game that Butler won by 7, but this game, all Florida. Kamar Baldwin misses another 3. Baldwin now shooting 2 of 12.
Well, and we said it, not to belabor the point, we said it at the outset. Butler goes as Baldwin and Jorgensen go. The difference between Butler when those two guys don't play well versus when they do is night and day. It's the difference between winning and losing.
Paul Jorgensen, again, not to criticize Butler or anything, sometimes you just get off the plane, get off the bus, and you have a bad afternoon. But Paul Jorgensen, he's been so much improved this season. He's adding more than 5 points per game than what he was averaging a year ago. He was a ghost in that first half. And he really hasn't found his groove in the second half either. And when you have a player that's so vital to your offense, no show on the road, it's so tough to come back. Went to shut me up, but it rattled out. And there's a foul called on the rebound. Florida leading 59-26. When we come back, we'll take an inside look at the Gators managers. We go behind the scenes on the other side.
Assist the coaches with practice and with recruiting. We also, as far as games go, we help with home games, make sure all the gear is there. And we also pack for travel. So if we need pads, we need jerseys, we need water bottles, we'll just pack all that and make sure it gets to the location that it needs to get to.
Of the 7 here, most of us want to get involved in coaching, and we get to watch some of the best coaches in the country do the job that we want to have one day. For us, it's the best experience we could possibly have. It's just a great learning experience, and we love every minute of it. To be a manager, I think you really need to have a serious time commitment. A lot of times we're here early and we're one of the last people to leave, especially when we have laundry. It takes a lot. There's a lot of things you have to give up.
I'd say they help us out in any way they can. They understand that the job that we have is very demanding of us, and like they'll make sure, hey, let's put our laundry in the basket. We don't, or let's not sweat on the court as much. So these guys don't have to wipe it up as much.
Great to us there. Another school.
Ryan and Caleb doing a great job behind the scenes of this Florida Gators basketball program. Team managers, Chris, you played in college basketball, you managed or assistant coached in the game. These guys do the little things, as they describe, to make this thing go as smoothly as it does.
You know, one of the other things they do is they teach the culture, because they've been around, and particularly as for some of these programs that are guys are going pro, or you have younger rosters. Managers teach the culture. You know, talking about keeping the locker room clean and putting stuff in a bin, and how to behave and act on the road. These managers are awesome.
And they are expected to be on 24/7. No time off for those guys. Florida continues with their suffocating full court press. It's been the defense that has gotten the Gators in this nice spot, 60-26. Almost unbelievable to think of that scoreline, considering a little more than 30 days ago, Butler won this game down in Atlantis by 7. Chris, I know we were talking before the game. We expected this to be really close.
Yeah. Well, and it's Florida jumped out 18-0. And it's just kind of built upon itself there. And I think Butler, a team that has to make perimeter shots in order for that offense to function the way it does. I think not making shots affected their defense, especially in that first half.
And they went 9 minutes without an opening basket. Even when a team goes scoreless 9-minute run during the course of a game, that's tough to overcome. But when it's up front and you have that goose egg next to your name, it almost becomes that much harder. Jorgensen fighting in traffic, draws the foul. What would you pinpoint for Florida tonight? If you're Mike White and you're trying to get this Florida team to play consistently like this, what are the things they need to do going forward?
You know, I think embrace who you are on the defensive end, which they have done. And then you go in the direction of guys who are giving you a punch offensively. The thing that we've seen tonight is they are deep, and they have a lot of guys who can put it in the basket. And it may be a freshman, maybe a sophomore on a given night. It may be Jalen Hudson who comes out and knocks down some shots and gets his mojo back. Offensively, I think game to game, it's going to be a feel. But there aren't a lot of teams who are going to guard night in and night out the way that Florida does.
You mentioned the depth. 9 guys who have scored a basket or more for Florida. One of them, Bassett, and he drains another 3. Dante Bassett. And Florida's lead continues to grow. Another run. This one quick, 6-0. Back-to-back threes. And Butler has gone scoreless in the last 3 minutes. Jorgensen, quick release. It goes. We see a glimpse, a flash, if you will, of what this Butler team can be when Paul Jorgensen and Kamar Baldwin are firing on all cylinders. We have not seen that for long stretches of this game. Jorgensen again. Risky pass somehow got to Christian David. It stays Butler basketball. Thursday, January 3rd, you can check out one of the best teams in the country, number 2 Michigan. One of 5 unbeatens taking on Penn State in Big Ten play. They have dominated the Nittany Lions, by the way. They've won the last 7, 12 of the last 13. But an upset-minded Penn State team, always tough in conference play, trying to hand Michigan their first loss of the year.
It's amazing as these teams, some of these conferences go to 20 games. The Big Ten's been in conference play for about a month now.
It's crazy. Both of these two teams, this will be the final game before conference play starts. For Butler, it's a quick turnaround. They've got a midweek game at Georgetown. Florida has a week off before they host South Carolina. And I guess if you're Laval, Jordan, and Butler, and you know you have to play 4 days from now, how do you quickly turn the page and make sure you bring your best efforts to DC against Patrick Ewing and the Hoyas?
I mean, and that's where I think the Big East is not as good at the top as it was last year. I think it's better at the bottom. I mean, DePaul is better. Georgetown is certainly better than it was last year. This is one of those games where, you know, you can go one of two directions. You either challenge your guys with the tape of this game and how they played, or you say, look, that's not who we are. Let's regroup. Let's lock arms and let's go get a win to start Big East play. My guess would be it would be the latter, because this game is a big-time outlier for Butler.
Take a look at the upcoming schedule for Butler to start Big East play. 3 called. The foul called on the 3. Christian David heads to the line. As we talk Big East for a little bit, Chris, I'm curious, St. John's, one of those 5 unbeaten teams. Where do you fall on the Red Storm? Obviously did not play a strong non-conference schedule, but are they for real?
They certainly have talent. They have pros. I mean, Shamari Pons is going to play at the next level. Mustafa Heron's a great pickup, getting him cleared with that waiver, which is should never happen. But that's, again, a longer conversation. But they're talented. The thing is, they've been, you know, historically very inconsistent. And that game at Seton Hall tonight is a big-time game. I mean, I think Seton Hall's better this year. I think they've got a chance to be good. So that's the next step for St. John's is, if you're going to be good consistently.
Yeah, Laval, Jordan, and the Butler Bulldogs. This is still a non-conference when you look at it the whole, and the committee will in March. They didn't do poorly. They still have 2 SEC wins. They beat Ole Miss earlier in the season, and then they beat this same Florida team at the Battle for Atlantis a little more than a month ago. So they go in with a strong resume, but still work needing to be done in the Big East if they want to continue that tradition of, they've really turned into a staple in March.
Well, they have great culture. It goes back to Brad Stevens, and even before that, obviously,
right.
But certainly the run here when Brad Stevens took them to 2 straight national championships. They have a culture that's built on attention to detail, built on toughness.
Really, when you think about March Madness and the NCAA tournament, both of these teams have established themselves as regulars. You'd be hard-pressed to think of a year where both teams were absent from the field. Certainly in recent history. Battle for the ball again. I'll say one thing. For Florida to be up by 30 and Butler to be down by 30, these teams playing like it's a one-possession game. The hustle has been evident. Here's Aaron Thompson to Nate Fowler. When Butler can drive, they've been good tonight, but it's been few and far between.
Yeah, and that's who Thompson is. We haven't called his name a lot today. He's not really a guy who puts the ball in the basket. He's a facilitator. Nice drop off there.
Does not go for Jalen Hudson. That's the one player that you'd like to see get going in the final 7 minutes. The Virginia Tech transfer who's averaging 9 points less this year than he did last year. Good ball movement leads to a badly three, can't connect. This is the longest drought for Florida. They've gone 4 minutes without scoring, and it's an 8-0 Butler run. Won't be enough to make a difference in the win-loss column, but Florida has finally cooled off after they dominated the first 30 minutes of this game. And here's Hudson. Shot clock winding down. Contested three and a foul called. So Jalen Hudson will get 3 free throws when we come back. Florida looking to add to their lead. When we come back, Laval Jordan and Butler's New Year's resolutions with 2019 coming your way.
My New Year's resolution for this year is to earn a 3.5 GPA next semester.
My New Year's resolution is to spread mental health awareness.
In 2019, I really want to focus on doing more fun things with my 3 daughters who are getting older, and at some point I'll head out the door. So that's my resolution for this new year.
I could not think of 3 better answers from Laval Jordan, Kamar Baldwin, and Aaron Thompson for the New Year's resolutions. You got one guy focusing on his education, another trying to raise mental health awareness, and Laval Jordan trying to spend some more time with his family. So no pressure after those 3 terrific answers. But
Yeah.
Chris Patola, what is your New Year's resolution?
I think mine would be to up my emoji game, use more emojis. It seems like a very convenient,
Yes.
kitschy way to communicate.
Are you just learning about these emojis?
I've been very judgmental of them.
Oh, okay.
And I think my resolution is to be less judgmental of emojis and up my game a little bit.
I'm a big thumbs up emoji guy. Just
See?
it's simple. It's copy that.
That
thumbs
seems a
up.
lot easier than writing like sounds good. Just give the emoji thumb.
Just the thumbs up.
So I'm open to that. That's a new. Would that qualify as a New Year's resolution?
I guess it's certainly not as good as Kamar Baldwin, who wants to focus on his
True.
grades, and
What do you say?
Aaron
What are
Thompson
you
wants
rating?
to spread mental
What
health
are you
awareness.
rating resolutions here?
I just
That's
would-
not fair. I
I
thought
would
this was
not-
a safe space.
I would not want to be the guy that went after those 3 brilliant answers.
My thing is with resolutions, like if there's something I don't like about myself,
You
I just
fix it.
change it. You know?
Well, I say the same things every year. I'm going to try and be nicer to people. I'm going to eat better. Never happens.
Again, being nicer to people should not have to come once a year as a resolution. That should be an on-the-spot change to your behavior.
Trying to be less frustrated,
No, I heard what you said.
listening more, watching more Army football,
There you go. Get on board.
getting them into a New Year's Six game a year from now. I did find it interesting that none of the 3 guys said anything about basketball, which I actually found refreshing.
Yeah, for sure.
You talk to a lot of head coaches, and you said New Year's resolution, we got to defend better.
Right.
Coach Jordan talking about his 3 daughters, and that very much fits the Butler way and the culture, the family culture out in Indy. There's been flashes.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, they're good offensively. They have been. And this guy, Aaron Thompson's a big reason why. Look at the pocket pass to the cutting Joey Brunk. They're just so dependent on making shots. And then they ran into a juggernaut today in Florida who, not only can they guard you, but combined shooting 64% in the first half.
There's been a stop in the action over on the Butler sideline, trying to figure out what is going on before Joey Brunk's foul shot.
A little bit of blood, I would imagine.
On the right kneecap of Aaron Thompson. Right below the kneecap.
Substitution for Butler, number 3, Baldwin.
Looking at the stats that stick out for Florida, shooting 50% from 3, 9 of 18. Now rebounding Butler 40 to 15. They have dominated in all 3 phases of the game.
Absolutely, all facets of the game today, and that's why you got a 32-point differential.
The big question will be, if you're a Gator fan, is this Florida or was this the fluke SEC play? You'll get your answer.
Well, it's funny you say that. During halftime, I was walking in the hall and I heard a fan say, "Who is this team?" And I think really, I think that's kind of, I have felt, and I said this coming into the season, that this was the Florida I expected.
Great hustle again. Both teams, you'd think it's a one-possession game with the amount of balls being fought for. Every loose ball, bodies are flying. I think another thing is we keep saying, oh, Butler won down in the Bahamas. It was a 7-point win. How are these two teams the same teams that played then? That was the 3rd game on back-to-back-to-back days in that tournament at the Battle for Atlantis. It is truly 2 different teams when you come in on full rest, when you have to play a 3rd game in 3 days.
Absolutely. Well, and the other thing, too, and I mean, this is not to take away from what Florida's done today. They've been by far the superior team, but it's adjustment too. You get off the plane, you're living in the state of Indiana. You get off the plane, it was 80 degrees here today. And the sun came out this afternoon. That's something a coach has to prepare his team for. I remember when I was at Duke, and we'd have to do that when we'd go down to Miami. You'd have to talk to you guys, look, we're not going to the beach, and it's going to seem like this is beach weather.
Well, you think vacation.
You think vacation. And, again, Butler's an older team and should be able to get through stuff like that. But it was a beautiful day today once it stopped raining.
Certainly was. Beautiful day, not so much for Butler inside, trailing bigly.
Day for Florida. He's got 12 and 5 and he's been that versatile big that they were hoping he would become. About 6'8", 250. He's been really active, can stretch you. They've posted him up a little bit, and then he's gotten to work on the offensive glass. He's really shown the full arsenal today. If he can get it going, he fits that profile of that modern-day 4 position. That guy who can mix it up inside, into paint, has good size, but can also stretch you a little bit. Nice day from him.
He shoots 44% from 3. So it's exactly what you're talking about. When you can have a guy who can grab boards, 6'8", step out and knock one down, that'll get you going. Ed Stone's 12 points. Tied for the lead with the freshman Noah Locke. Maybe that's most impressive about Florida. They have 68 points, but their leading scorers are only at 12. They've been so balanced. Nemhard showing off the handles. He's actually been fairly quiet, 7 points, 2 assists, but he's so much more than that. Not just numbers, he gets this Florida offense flowing. Trying to get the ball back instead. Gerald Gillens, Butler had everything but the finish. That's the kind of afternoon it's been for this Butler team.
Yes, it is.
corner. Keontae Johnson, why not? Another freshman with a lot of promise for Mike White and this Florida team.
And it's been that kind of a day for Florida. A second on the shot clock, and a guy who comes into this game with only 2 threes on the year buries one from the corner.
Kamar Baldwin, it's been a day to forget for the Butler leading scorer. 7 points, 3 of 12. That's as ugly a line you'll see from him. He is so consistent for this Butler team.
And credit Florida, those Florida guards, they've run a lot of different guys at him, but they have risen to the challenge of shutting both Baldwin and Jorgensen out of this game.
Great ball movement. The finish not there from 3 for DeAndre Ballard. Sports Center tonight after the Orange Bowl on ESPN. SVP, he'll have all your coverage from Miami after Oklahoma and Alabama finish. The Warriors, the sky is falling. 2-game losing streak. They're on the road in Portland. He'll have the highlights. Sports Center with SVP after Oklahoma and Bama on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Who you got in that game tonight?
Tough to go against Nick Saban. I mean, it's the easy take, but it's the right take. I do think it's a lower scoring game than people think. I think people think it'll be a shootout. I think the Alabama defense, they don't allow too many shootouts.
And the fact that their quarterback, who I thought deserved the Heisman, did not win the Heisman.
Added motivation.
Yeah, for a team that it's tough for Alabama to find ways to get pissed off at you.
Correct. And you've seen his teammates this week. They have not been shy to say who they think should have been the Heisman.
I mean, think about it. At one point this year, Tua had more touchdown passes than incompletions.
Yep, and had not played in many second halves.
So, like, you know, we are so superficial nowadays when it comes to these types of things. Like, we get front runner fatigue. A guy who dominated statistics. Wow.
Oh my! Keontae Johnson rocks the rim to add a little bonus to this big Florida victory. Wow. This Florida freshman class, all 4 of them, they are all contributing to this Gators team. So what would you say with a minute left of this game, Chris? Is when you look to the SEC, is Florida number 3 behind Tennessee and Kentucky?
Not yet. Not on one game, but this will help. Oh my goodness, as you said, this freshman class will continue to get better. And I think as these freshmen, who are Mike White's most competitive, look at the reaction from the bench, who are Mike White's most competitive players, as they continue to improve, this team will get better. I think Mississippi State, with how old they are and how talented they are, I did them a couple weeks ago against Clemson. They had 19 threes in that game. So I think they'll be right there. But now you got walk-ons scoring.
And that applause gets a bigger one than the Keontae Johnson dunk. Gielen's Butler with an and one opportunity. Andrew Fava, the walk-on for Florida.
Nice little drive here, just right by the baseline, no help. And everybody loves when the walk-ons make a play, as they should.
And it's a credit to the team to make it a game where you can get the walk on it.
Absolutely.
That means you've done something right. Or something's gone terribly wrong. Either way. So you're not ready to put Florida 3 off one game.
No, not off one game. But they, you know, again, I believed in them. I think Mike White does an unbelievable job. Clearly, Mike White does a great job coaching the walk-ons.
2 for 2. Can't miss. So 36 days after Florida lost to Butler in the battle for Atlantis, they come back to Gainesville and even the score. A resounding 77-43 win for Mike White and the Florida Gators. They did it from start to finish, an 18-0 run to start the game, a 77-43 victory. We'll be joined with Gators head coach Mike White when we come back.
You're nobody till somebody loves you. You're nobody till somebody cares. Well, you're nobody till somebody loves. So find yourself somebody to love.
If you don't have it already, ESPN Plus, your home for more sports, more schools, more conferences, more ESPN. Don't need the clicker anymore. You got one on the iPad, you got college football on the screen, and ESPN Plus. You got to get it today. We are happy to be joined by Florida head coach Mike White. Gators resounding victory, 77-43 win. Coach, you played this same Butler team a little more than a month ago down in Atlantis. You lost that game by 7. What changed today?
I thought we were good defensively down there. We've gotten even better defensively, and we've gotten a lot better offensively, trying to find our way a little bit, and we still have a ways to go. And Butler, this wasn't their night. They're terrific, and they could be sitting here with only a loss or two. I got a ton of respect, of course. Our program has a ton of respect for their program. They do a tremendous job. They outplayed us down there. We outplayed them today. I'm shocked at the score. They're obviously a lot better than that. I don't think we're this good, but we've gotten better. So proud of the effort and the development of our team.
You know, so much has been made about, you know, Jalen's struggles, Kayvon at times. The thing that struck me today, Mike, is the balance. Like, you got points from a lot of different. 2 walk-ons come in, they go 2 for 2.
Yeah.
They want more burn, by the way. Yes. But really, I mean, the balance of you guys offensively today struck me.
Yeah, I just thought the ball found the right guy a bunch. We did a better job of that than we have in the past. We set better screens. We finished cuts. We've got a better understanding of what we're trying to do. We've kind of revamped what we're doing offensively 3 or 4 times this year, searching. It's been a long process. I don't know that we'll be that good, again, offensively against a really good defensive team like Butler, but we're sure going to try.
How do you get this team to be more consistent, take this into SEC play, make a game like this constant?
I the only thing that we know how to do is just, I guess, get a bunch of reps. Just continue to work at it, continue to watch film, continue to do a bunch of dry offensive stuff, a bunch of player development stuff, continue to talk to our guys about making the extra. Everyone's just gotten a little bit better. And again, I don't think we played with agendas in mind offensively. We had 3 or 4 heat checks, which is better than 15, you know, in a couple games early in the season. So we've just kind of settled in a little bit, and we've just gotten better at playing in the half court. This has been a full court offensive program the last couple of years, and led by the speed of Chris and Chioza and Casey Hill, of course, and Andrew's been terrific. We're a different. Our makeup is different, especially offensively, and I don't know that we'll be out in the open floor quite as much. So we've got to continue to get better in the half court.
We tried to pull a couple of your heat checks from back in the day. To play them.
Did they hit any rim?
No, they weren't bad. You had quite the green light though back in the day.
Oh yeah, come on now. I got subbed out if I shot it, or if I didn't foul. I led the league in fouls. I was really good at that.
Coach, before we let you go, you got the box score in front of you, so if you want, you can take a couple of seconds. I'm curious. You dominated in all facets.
Yeah.
When you look at the numbers, what's the one that you will be happiest with, and you will make you sleep a little easier tonight?
10 of 21 from 3, 30 of 56 from the field. Just the way we shot the ball. We looked like a more confident team. The most shocking numbers are the rebounding numbers, 46 to 18. I didn't know that this team had that in them against we all know. I mean, Butler, they play as hard as anybody in the country year in and year out. And, you know, I'm proud of the physical effort. This team has gotten tougher over the course of the last 2 months.
Head coach of the Florida Gators, Mike White. And Coach, enjoy this one. I know you will. A resounding 77-43 victory to even the score against Butler.
Thank you, guys.
Chris and I will be back to wrap it all up. We'll let Coach go. Big win here in Gainesville. Final basketball game of 2018 for the Florida Gators. It could not have gone any better. A 77-43 win, and now Florida flips the page. New year, they go into conference play, SEC play. So, Chris, as we head into conference play, what's standing out to you?
I think those two teams at the top, Tennessee and Auburn, are on a level of their own. I think Tennessee is the best team. I think Auburn's right there because of that backcourt of Jared Harper and Bryce Brown. And I think what we've seen from Kentucky, big win today on the road at Louisville, beat Carolina. They will continue to get better. And then there's that next group of teams. I think Mississippi State will be there. They're old. I think this Florida team, I mean, look, are they going to be this good consistently? Of course not. But I think this is a sign of the Florida team we expected to see. So I think they're right there on a plateau. Alabama, I think, will continue to improve. So that middle part of the SEC is where I think this conference takes the next step. And I think it's a group of teams there that we're still trying to figure out exactly who they are.
And how about the start for Florida today? They come out in a game they don't need necessarily, but it's 7-4. You'd love to have, and you'd love to avenge that loss they had earlier in the season. They come out and grab a 21-0 advantage.
Yeah. You know, for this Florida team, and I think Mike White alluded to it with us, is you got to be mature about a game like this, which is to say you can't come in tomorrow to practice and assume that you've made it. Like, this team has not made it. They've got a lot of work they have to do, but this is certainly a great start.
Well, couldn't have asked for a better way to end 2018 if you're Mike White. A 77-43 win for the Florida Gators. Coming up next, Big Ten basketball, Radford and Maryland. For our crew, Chris Spatola, I'm Jay Alter. So long.